Hanta Sero stood by the front door of Midoriya's apartment, having made his way from his after a fairly relaxed morning. Greeted by Midoriya, Sero was met with the sounds of familiar voices inside, cheerfully greeted by his usual band of friends by the lounge. It wasn't long until he hid into the eggnog before, during, and after dinner. After the school reunion, he really needed to loosen up and have some fun. Caroling with Kirishima was entertaining.
Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Prospero año y felicidad. Feliz Navidad.
Wow, I didn't know either of them could speak Spanish,
spoke Kaminari while he sipped his glass of eggnog.
If I wanted a hangover, I'd drink more of this crap,
mumbled Bakugo.
Oh, shut up, the both of you. You're making my ears bleed.
The duo continued to chime and chirp, a little merry and too drunk to realize the company they kept, until the ring of sleigh bells interrupted their medley. Across the room sat Jiro and Kaminari's +1. Someone Sero briefly met back at their school reunion, hanging on to a drunk Kaminari at the time. They began to carol just as loud as they did, but their voices intermingled, capturing the essence of the carols they spun and weaved. A wide grin spread across Sero's face when he listened to the bells and the ting of the pots they tapped against to set the mood. They soon became the center of entertainment, filling the air with merriment and joy. Sero swayed to the carols with Kirishima beside him, still with eggnog in hand, until the sound of cheers caught his ear, finding Midoriya and his now engaged fiancée celebrating outside on the balcony. Everyone cheered inside, the loud and boisterous yells of a few overpowering the cheerful cries of others. The rapping on the balcony's large windows caught Sero's ear, turning to spot something flap against its window pane. Though a little hazy from the eggnog, he squinted his eyes, reading the small text that barely could be seen through the frost on the glass. "Front door!" That's all it said. The handwriting was all too familiar, and as if he had sobered for a brief moment, Sero shook his head, sliding his arms away from a drunk Kirishima. Sero slowly made his way towards the front door, slipping past his friends and gently turning the knob to exit the apartment. The carols were muffled while he heard the soft hum of the wind, rubbing his palms and breathing into his hands to keep warm. The expanse of Musatafu stretched as far as he could see, at least in his drunken state. He wrapped his scarf around his neck, keeping an eye out for a very familiar partner in crime. Literally.
Ah!
Sero jumped in surprise at your face hanging upside down from the guardrails above. You cocked your head inquisitively at the drunk man, spotting that glassy look in his eye.
Are you drunk?
You asked, rugged up in your fur trimmings.
Maybe,
replied Sero.
Don't do that.
Do what?
Appear out of thin air.
I was hanging around for a while.
You clarified with a smirk.
I had to wait for that lovely proposal to finish. I mean, wow, the number one getting hitched? Good on him!
What do you want?
Interrupted Sero, confused of your presence until a soft plush appeared in front of him, the toy fox staring back at him with beady eyes.
Merry Christmas, Bucky!
You cooed, watching Sero take the plush from your hands.
Something to remember me by.
Despite his drunken stupor, Sero stared at the plush, noticing a plastic tag still attached to its ears.
Did you steal this?
He asked incredulously.
No.
You replied in shock, only to meet his interrogative stare.
Okay, I did, but they had plenty of them. They could afford to lose one.
You don't have to steal everything.
You shrugged in reply, swinging your body from the guardrails above and landing safely on the apartment's landing beside Sero. You fluffed your fur, keeping your neck warm from the chilly air.
Come on, Bucky. It's a thought that counts, right?
You cheerfully spoke while you nudged into his side.
I'm sure no one would be the wiser.
Sero sighed heavily while he held onto the plush in his arms, leaning onto the guardrails alongside you this Christmas Eve. For a moment he thought he wouldn't see you at all until the new year came and went, but in good fashion, you surprised him again.
Did you follow me here?
He asked, the thought suddenly crossing his mind.
Of course.
You chirped with a smile.
You know that's creepy, right? Like you gate-crashing the reunion?
You groaned under your breath, leaning your head backwards in motion to your exasperation.
Oh, but it was so much fun. The food was delish, I will say, and to actually feel a little normalcy was a godsend. Although the short purple dude was kinda sleazy.
Wait, Minetta?
Is that his name? Didn't catch it, but I guess. I mean, can't fault him for trying.
Sero sighed with a small smirk, his thoughts wondering what on earth his friend must have said to this vigilante that stood before him.
He's not all that bad,
reassured Sero.
You should have met him back when we were in high school.
Let me guess. Raging hormones?
Sero chuckled jovially at the very accurate observation, only allowing you to join him in the laugh. The both of you stood in silence thereafter, enjoying the fresh air and each other's company. You stared out towards the city, seeing every surface covered in a light powder of snow. Weather forecasts had said that a light snowfall would occur later tonight, giving you the appropriate time to leave when you needed to. But for now, you wanted to stay close to this pro-hero. To Sero. This man that, though started off on opposite sides of the law, found a camaraderie in his company.
I didn't think you'd give me a present,
commented Sero while his hands brushed lightly against the soft plush.
Oh, it's nothing.
You lightly brushed off.
I was in the neighborhood, saw it, and had to get it for you.
Stole it.
Stop it.
Want a sip?
Sero lifted his half-drunk glass of eggnog for you, spotting you eye the concoction inquisitively. You shrugged before you took the cup from him, your fingers gently brushing against his while you took a large swig, spluttering at the strength of the alcohol that sat in it.
Oh, wow. That's, strong?
You piped between clearing your throat.
No wonder you're drunk.
I was drunk,
corrected Sero.
Uh-huh.
You sobered me up, standing out here in the cold.
Sero's lips curled into a smile at this banter, something that was his to share with someone of his own. Or so he wanted to believe. The reunion didn't do much to solidify what this was. Was it only just banter? Or was he truly dating? Was this even a date right now at one of his classmates' events?
I like your friend Aoyama.
You spoke, catching his attention again from his thoughts.
Nice guy.
You spoke with him?
Yeah, briefly. But I now understand where your grasp of Italian came from now.
You turned to him with your arms still leaning on the guardrail, eyeing him with a cocked brow.
You asked a Frenchman about Italian?
Who else could I turn to? I was curious and he was the best option.
Explained Sero with a shrug.
He figured out your name, so I get why you stole this present.
He referred to your plush, causing a smile to crack on your lips before you leaned back on the guardrails again.
Actually, I figured that my code name for you might be out of place,
admitted Sero.
I know,
You chirped, turning to him.
but I still find it cute.
Your eyes met his, noticing the serious look in his face before he took your hand in his, the warmth of his large palm engulfing it.
I think I found something more fitting for you.
He explained, closing his shoulders onto yours.
Is this after speaking with your friend?
Actually, he brainstormed something for me.
You watched as Sero's head leaned closer to yours, your bodies flush against each other by the guardrails, feeling his body heat from whatever drunken state he was in wash onto you.
Would you allow me to call you Tesoro from here on out?
His breath warmed the air between himself and you, surprised by his choice of a code name. For the first time in a while, your cheeks flooded with heat, probably the second most embarrassing moment with him aside from his awkward forwardness back at the museum.
Is that a yes?
He asked while he watched your face fluster momentarily. Your eyes landed on his, now with trust laid before you, between each other before you began to lean in closer to him. Sero slowly followed, watching the smallest movements you made while your lips lingered just in front of his. You felt his breath, as did he yours, wanting nothing more than to seal this moment. His fingers gently caressed your chin while his thumb glided across your bottom lip. You allowed his touch. It felt just right. It felt normal.
That's where you've been,
Piped Kaminari, the light of the apartment washing over Sero's back.
Man, you've missed out on Kirishima's rendition of Jingle Bells.
Sero stood alone, leaning by the landing's guardrails while still holding onto the small plush in his hands. He awkwardly chuckled under his breath at Kaminari's announcement.
I think I'd pass,
Commented Sero.
I just needed some fresh air to clear my head. Yeah, who knew Midoriya made a mean eggnog?
Sero chuckled again at the thought, while Kaminari spotted something in his arms, smiling at the little plush.
Hey, kinda cute.
Exclaimed Kaminari.
Does someone have an admirer? It's nothing like that.
Spoke Sero.
Oh, really? Like your text about a special somebody in the field? Ah, come on, man. When are we going to meet him?
Sero continued to disarm Kaminari's barrage of questions, until the both of them entered back into the apartment to enjoy the rest of the night. Meanwhile, you stood by the next landing above, listening in on the cheers and merriment. You deeply sighed, brushing your fingers against your lips, remembering the faint shadow of his touch not too long ago. You smiled to yourself, feeling the giddiness bubble in the pit of your stomach. Was this what butterflies felt like?
Happy holidays, Sero.
You whispered to yourself, listening to the sound of sleigh bells from inside the apartment. It made your heart swell and flutter. you couldn't wait to spot him on patrol after this holiday was over. Thank you for tuning in to another fanfiction reading. If you enjoy what I do, or would prefer to just fall asleep to my voice, please ring the bell, hit the like button, and subscribe to my channel. I hope you have a wonderful Christmas holiday, and a happy new year to follow. Thank you for visiting. I hope to hear back from you soon. Next we meet.